Hello again, everyone. I'd like to talk real briefly about this latest NSA thing going on with a leaker named Reality Winner. Before I get into that, I'd like to say one thing that's really important, or introduce you to something that's really important. Back in the day, there was a cartoonist by the name of Walt Kelly, and Walt Kelly wrote the Pogo cartoons, and they were political cartoons. They were kind of ostensibly for kids, but really meant for adults. And there's all these critters in the Okefenokee Swamp in Florida, and just go look it up. But Pogo was the opossum. There was the fox and the turtle and the muskrat and the owl and other characters. But Pogo was kind of like the ringleader and the main character. And he said something really interesting. Walt Kelly, the words Walt Kelly put in his mouth. He said, "We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us." Here's saying here. And this is what we have to keep in mind when we think about what this Reality Winner young lady did, apparently, allegedly did. She was young, she was 25 years old. She had been in the Air Force. I think she did completed basic training in 2011. She got out of the Air Force and just recently applied for a job at a place called Pluribus International, and they're a contractor for the NSA. And so she went to work for them. Hadn't been working there for very long. And she had access to a copy machine. She supposedly took some secret documents, ran them off the copy machine, folded them up, stuffed them in an envelope, and mailed them to The Intercept, which is an online publication, kind of like WikiLeaks. They're always putting out these documents. They're hooked up with Snowden. The NSA guy worked for a contractor, Booz Hamilton, and eventually he wound up in Russia. And so this Reality Winner, she sent these documents apparently sent them to The Intercept. The Intercept gets them going, well, what's going on here? And as the story goes, or what I've been read so far, they called somebody in the NSA to come and authenticate them. If you can believe that. I'm not sure if this part of the story is true. But that's what's been out there in the last few hours. NSA comes bebopping over, they look at it, and they go, and it's got some folds in it, and they say, well, that probably somehow they've concluded it came out of a copy machine. So they went back, they looked at who had access to the copy machine. 6 people had. They narrowed it down to Reality Winner. And they busted her, and here's the FBI investigated. Here's the complaint, the criminal complaint from the Justice Department. And then here's the affidavit, so on and so forth, from an FBI agent that arrested her. And so Reality Winner is an interesting person. Like I say, she hadn't been working for him for very long, and she's fervently anti-Trump. She, in her social media, and this was before she went to work for the NSA contractor, she called President Trump a piece of shit. And she's involved in the Women's March, which that's no big thing. I mean, a lot of women were in there. But she supports a lot of these liberal, far-left causes, including the Islamic Society of North America, which is a Muslim civil rights group, supposedly. It could be a front for all sorts of militant jihadist stuff. But anyway, that's where her sympathies were. She was hired. They looked into her background and they said, "Well, look at this. You think Trump is a piece of shit? Fine. You know, that's actually a character reference. You're our girl. Hooked up with this Muslim outfit? Not a problem." And unbelievably, they gave her access to a copy machine. Having not been in the job, she's barely more than a trainee. Access to the copy machine. And that's crazy. So apparently the documents she sent apparently shows Russia or Russian intelligence officers or whatever accessing voting machines in this last election. No proof, no evidence, just a statement that the NSA concludes that this is what happened. Now, when we put all this together, it really tells us something important, I think. The fact that this young lady got hired with her anti-Trump sentiments tells us a lot. Because she fit in. She was part of the culture, part of the NSA culture. And it's no stretch to say that the NSA, the CIA, and the FBI are all anti-Trump. Really, really. They all hate Trump. We just conclude that. They want to get him out of there. He's not their guy. And to give you an idea, I mean, of all people, President Putin gave us kind of an insight to this when he said, "Do you think it matters to us who is president of the United States? It doesn't." Because, and he implied in so many words, and I'm not quoting him directly, but he implied, this was his interview with Megyn Kelly last Sunday, and he implied that the President of the United States really doesn't control a lot. He or she, in this case they will have been he, goes with the flow. They do whatever. They're basically a tool. They're manipulated. And look how easily George W. Bush was manipulated into the Iraq War. George Tenet from the CIA comes up with all this evidence about Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction. And George Bush, just to cover his ass, George Tenet, he says, "Are you certain about this? Are you sure that Saddam Hussein has these WMDs?" As George Tenet said, "It's a slam dunk, Mr. President." Well, the CIA knew, and everybody else knew, that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction. But George Bush signs off on it. Go ahead, go to war. That's how easily a president becomes a tool of the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and all the rest of them. So when President Putin says it really doesn't matter who, it's like this supposedly upcoming war with North Korea, and I'm probably going to do that in my next video, say something about that in my next video. It doesn't matter whether Trump wants or doesn't want to go to war with North Korea. He really doesn't have a lot to say about it. Because if the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and the Pentagon and State Department decide they're going to go to war with North Korea, it'll be war with North Korea. And Trump can scream about it all he wants to. In the end, he'll acquiesce and go, whatever, just to keep his job. But yeah, they're all after him. So when we see this young lady fit in so neatly, so now they turn on her and they throw her to the wolves, and she becomes a patsy, expendable. And so there you go. And she's not going to have the luxury of being able to escape to Russia. She's stuck. They might make her a deal or not, I don't know. But it doesn't look good for her. But yeah, anyway, we get back to what Pogo said. You know, we've met the enemy, and he is us. And all this time, people like me, you know, people that were so fearful of a surveillance state back in the 60s and 70s, we were saying, oh, it's going to turn into Stalinist state, and we're going to have these spooks spying on us. You know, the people in the black suits and the sunglasses and the earpiece in the ear. They're going to be snooping on us and spying on us, and it turns out that's not true. It turns out that the people that are involved, just like Reality Winner, are ordinary people, just like us. No special training. They're just part of what's going on. And so, yeah, that's where we're at this point. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, that you got half the population are so supposedly turned against the other half, and that's the way they've neatly packaged it. So we'll see if they get rid of Trump. I mean, Comey is up there, going to be up there Thursday, and all the networks are breaking into their programming to broadcast his testimony live before Congress live. And you know, is he going to stick it to Trump? We'll see. But see, he's part of this deep state thing. He's out there in front. So we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, we've met the enemy, and he is us. So that's all I have to say about that for the moment. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.